Welcome back to Turn Pain into Power podcast. Y'all, today's episode is very deep and very dear to me, so I will give a trigger warning because if you have dealt with a narcissistic parent, this definitely may be one of those episodes that you may shed a tear on. But today's episode is a narcissistic mother's inability to parent. Yes. Now, please remember to check out the custom t-shirts and art pieces available on TikTok, Pain into Power Shop. And stay tuned for my live art showcases this week on TikTok, Pain into Power Shop. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And when you subscribe to the channel, this is how you begin your journey on turning your pain into power. All right, let's get right into today's topic. Yes, a narcissistic mother's inability to parent. Number one, too selfish to ever put anyone first. A narcissistic mother can never put anyone before them because their natural selfish nature does not allow them to. And let me tell you something, that the moment a narcissistic mother even thinks about putting somebody else first, her first thought is, and always will be, how would this benefit me? We have to understand that narcissistic people are very selfish because 9 times out of 10 they were always put last in their childhood. Now, when you're disfavored in your childhood, you make it your mission. Woo! Thank you, Holy Spirit. Listen, you make it your mission to be an opportunist. You make it your mission to benefit off anything that you choose to invest in. So when it comes to a narcissistic mother, her selfish nature does not allow her to put her feelings to the side and ever put somebody else first. Woo! Already starting off strong, y'all. Number 2, their shallow emotional style. Their shallow emotional style causes them to see and filter everyone as black or white, good or bad. This shallow emotional style that they judge other people by, that they categorize people in their little book by black or white, good or bad, prevents them from really truly being able to parent you correctly. Because as we know, and I'll give you a little story time, as we know, teenagers are the toughest to deal with, for any parent. Doesn't matter if the teenager is outside a lot or more reserved. Teenagers are coming into their own personality, you know what I mean? So it makes it very difficult for a parent to deal with. And so when you have a shallow emotional style, you are constantly rating your child. You're constantly comparing them. Oh, did they do this? Did they stay out late? So now you're categorizing them as black or white, as good or bad. You're categorizing them as bad, and you're kind of keeping tabs on it. Now, one thing that I cannot stand is when my parents try to downplay me, especially my mother, because of past mistakes. Now, what do I mean by that? By trying to hush you or, silence you or diminish you or degrade you because of your past mistakes. Now, this is what prevents the narcissistic mother from really truly being there for you in a healthy way. Because when you constantly grade somebody, especially your child, with your shallow emotional state of mind that is always trying to either judge or grade somebody as good or bad, then it makes it very difficult for you to not belittle that person, because you're constantly comparing them with good or bad, and you're constantly making them out to be bad when in fact they just made simple teenager mistakes that all teens do, and parents need to learn to let go. Because if you keep filtering your child with that filter of bad, everything they do is going to be judged as bad. Number 3, the narcissistic mother's weakness and self-consciousness prevents them from nurturing you when needed. And it also allows them to neglect you when problems present. I can recall many times where I've needed that mother love, that nurturement, especially when presented with problems, and all I got was a cold shoulder. All I got was a person that is abandoning me and making me feel neglected and pushed away. And it is their own weakness. I want to give closure to those that are still dealing with a narcissistic mother or have dealt with a narcissistic mother in their childhood, because I never got this closure. And it is that they neglect you because they are truly neglecting their own emotional state, their own, they're trying to run away from processing emotions. So it is because of their weakness that allows them to abandon you and push you away and make you feel alone when problems arise and you really don't feel that support. I wanted to give that closure out to my community out there, because it's so hard to heal from, being with a narcissistic parent when they, in fact, make you feel alone every time something arises, a problem arises or anything presents themselves where you need that support. Yes. All right. Number 4, they are not emotionally equipped to process their own emotions, let alone be emotionally available to support you and process your emotions. Now, this is deep, y'all, and this goes right along with number 3, because when a person is constantly running away from their own feelings, when a person is unable to process their own emotions, how can you really expect them to support you and help you process your emotions? And this is one of the main reasons that a narcissistic mother's inability to parent in a healthy way. Number 5, because of the narcissistic mother's envious nature, she lacks the ability to stop comparing you to others and constantly criticizing you. When a person is envious, when they have an envious nature where they compare everything about themselves in order to kind of win at something, to make themselves feel better, to make themselves feel better about themselves and about how weak they truly are, what they tend to do is they constantly put you up against unmeasurable standards. So they will constantly compare you with other cousins, for example. They will constantly criticize you. They'll criticize you on your weight. They'll criticize you on your looks. I remember in high school, y'all, and I'll go into a little story time, which I didn't have planned, but I remember in high school how much this could have took a toll on me and affected me hadn't I had the support group of friends that I had constantly telling me, you're beautiful, and the amount of people that used to always try to holla in high school and, complimenting me on my looks, because every time I walked in the door, my mother will find another reason to criticize me, another, something to put me down. And this really could have drove me to, be harmful towards, me. And it's crazy because all I have to thank is God for aligning the group of friends that I've had in my high school times. You know what I mean? And the people, because this really, especially at a pivotal point in your life when you're in high school, this really could have took a toll on me. And really, I wouldn't be here today if I allowed this to hurt me as much as it intended to hurt me, because when a parent is trying to change you, the real you, and tries to nitpick at you and criticize you and constantly compares you, it really breaks down your self-esteem. Number 6, their inability to show empathy and truly support you. Their lack of compassion really affects you by leaving a deep void where you are always searching for that support and that compassion and empathy that you did not receive at home. And hadn't it been for God, I would have ended up with a person that, was abusive to me, and I would have stayed because of the breadcrumb of love and support that they gave me, because I wasn't receiving that at home. So it is their lack of empathy, that really, really tears you down and leaves a deep void, because let's just be honest, we all need love out here. It comes a long way when you show somebody a little empathy. I'll tell you that. Thank you for tuning into today's episode. I hope this gives you the closure and the wisdom that you needed, because if you are a victim of abuse out here, this is the channel to tune into. Remember to thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And remember, y'all, when you subscribe to the channel, this is how you start turning your pain into power. And please show love. Tune into the live art showcases on Painting to Power Shop, and check out the custom t-shirts. You won't regret it. And my art pieces available on TikTok, Painting to Power Shop. Per usual, it is a blessing to be a blessing, and thank you for tuning in to another episode on Turn Pain into Power podcast. Deuce. Stay safe in these streets, y'all.